Hi, it's Nicole McGurk with this week's From Start to Finish video brought to you by 2peasinabucket.com. This week I have a layout that features some custom fabric canvas flower embellishments. I accidentally deleted the part of the video where I talk about the product I'm using. I apologize about that, so I don't have that this week. The first thing I did was cut some strips from one of the floral papers from this Pebbles collection. And I'm just trying to get a few pieces of paper for my layout. Now the flowers you see here are not the ones that I ended up using. I changed my mind and did a little bit different flower. You can see that I die cut my title, and instead of using the part of the die cut that you would normally use, I used the paper strip. I purposely cut my paper strip to 3.5 inches wide by 12 inches long and ran it through my silhouette, making sure I had it lined up where I wanted it to cut, and then I used the negative space for my title so that the background peeks through. I also spritzed a little of the Studio Calico Mr. Huey white on my background paper, that really pretty turquoise with the polka dot, just to add a little bit of distressing to this pretty graphic paper. Okay, now I'm getting ready to color my canvas pieces, and all I did was cut my sticky back canvas into 4x4 pieces. I did this a couple of different ways, and I found that this worked way better for die cutting and getting clean edges after the canvas had been painted. If you die cut it first and paint it and let it sit overnight, the paint kind of sticks to the edges and it's not as clean looking. Also, at 2Ps, I'm going to share the link for that paint chart from Ranger for the studio paints, for how to mix the different paints to get all kinds of different colors, like you can see I'm doing here. So that green that I used was for the leaves, of course. I'm using the blank canvas white and the little teal here, and I'm going to mix those together for my teal color. I thought the teal was just a little too dark on its own. You do not have to mix these, but you can see that if you do, you get all kinds of additional colors. So I'm just mixing that up really good, and I'm not doing it really nice or neat or anything like that, just getting nice coverage on my little 4x4 square. I didn't go clear to the edges. There was really no need since I'm going to be die cutting. And I'm doing all of this on this craft mat from Ranger. The great thing about the craft mat is how easy it is to clean up, and you can use it for mixing your paints right on it. What I like to do is let it dry for a couple of hours, and then I just take my scraper, and I think the scraper I use is from my Silhouette, the one you can use to clean your cutting mat off, and I just use it and scrape all of that paint off right into my trash can. And you may have to use like a wet paper towel or whatever to finish cleaning it, but it makes the cleanup so easy by just letting it dry and scraping it off. So I did kind of an orangey or a salmon color, kind of a pinky orange color. I'm trying to coordinate all of the colors I'm using here with the colors in this collection from Pebbles. So a couple of the colors, I did a couple of squares because I'm going to have to cut multiple flowers, and I needed a little bit more canvas than just one square. And last, I'm doing a little yellow. And I thought I would lighten it with a little bit of the white, but I needed a little darker, so I just used the yellow straight out of the can, or the jar. Once these are dry, and I did speed up my drying time with a heat gun, I'm going to run them through my Sizzix, and you can use either the manual or the electronic Sizzix, it does not matter. And I just cut out these cute little round flowers. These flowers are part of the 3D collection from Sizzix, the Sizzix Bigs dies. And the great thing about these steel rule dies like this is with die cutting machines, like electronic ones do not cut. For example, the Silhouette won't cut through fabric or things like that, certain kinds. It just won't cut through like your felt and chipboard or acetate sheets, things like that. There's always exceptions to those rules, but the steel rule dies will cut through any kind of medium like that, and it just cuts it out so beautifully. You can see the pieces here as I'm die cutting them. Nice clean edges, and it cuts through that thick material like nothing. I typed up my journaling on a piece of craft cardstock, and I'm just adhering it to the top of my page there. And I'm just taking a cardboard box I have that I use for applying adhesive to silhouette shapes and things like that. And I'm going to use some mist. This is a copper mist to add just a little bit more texture to my painted and die cut canvas flowers. Now for the leaves, I'm using the Applejack Green from Studio Calico, and I want it to kind of have that blotchy look. You can see the ones I have laid out over there now that it's dried. It just gives it more dimension. Below my die cut title, I am going to add just a little stamped subtitle with some Allie Edwards stamps that says Ordinary Everyday Life. I'm using an orange ink from Stampin' Up. I apologize, I can't think of the name right now. I will make sure and list that in the post at 2Ps. I'm going to staple my journaling up at the top of the page, and I'm going to wrap a little bit of this pink ribbon around here in a little bit. Before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and I want to distress the edges of my canvas flowers. I think it gives them a more realistic and textured and fun feel. Really helps, I don't know, liven up the flower, I guess, make it more realistic. Wrapping that ribbon around now and tying it in a bow. I did machine stitch on the light pink ribbon and the green scallop ribbon just to secure it really well. I think it stays better a lot of times if you can secure it like that. Now I used my fingernail, I used some scissors, I tried all kinds of things to figure out what worked best for distressing these flowers. And I found that little edge on a craft knife really worked the best for all these little sections. And I distressed all the edges, and then I wrinkled up the flower in my hand into a tight little ball and unfolded it, and it really helped to give it some nice texture. I'm sewing a couple buttons on in the center. Now the base of the flower is the painted canvas. Then I'm adding the peach floral at the top is a Making Memories floral, and then the pink and the yellow or cream flowers are cut from some American Crafts floral ribbon. And then I just sewed a little button there in the center. Wrap some string around a little butterfly. Now the butterfly, I did the same thing. I painted some sticky back canvas, let it dry, die cut it with the Tim Holtz butterfly die, and I first spritzed it with some of the Mr. Huey white, but then I went back with the Applejack Green, and I really like the green on top of that. I think it really makes a fun color. Adding some foam adhesive underneath my little butterfly sitting on the flower. Give it a little bit more dimension. And the page is finished. For more information on this layout, plus a list of supplies used to complete it, please visit 2psinabucket.com on June 29th, 2011. Thanks for watching.